Hi everybody. This is the plan for the Trojan, the sailing ship. I thought I would go over with you how we're going to draw a hull frame. Now, using a CAD program, this does not mean that the computer is doing any of the work for you. You do the work. It just makes it more accurate, and it makes it neater, something that you can share with others. I like to be able to share my work with those out there in social media land. For years before I had a CAD program, I learned and then labored on a traditional drafting board with a piece of vellum and pencils and ship's curves and dividers to take measurements, and you had to draw at the scale of the model. So that was a little bit more difficult in that it was just good enough to get me into the shop to make something. It wasn't ever really neat enough. I didn't feel confident enough to share my work. However, with the CAD program, I got it about 15 years ago. A friend of mine gave me a free copy of it. It's an older program, AutoCAD 2000i, and it allowed me to be more accurate and to produce neater results that I could then share with everybody. So, it doesn't make it necessarily any easier. You still have to do a lot of work, just the same as what I was doing on the traditional drafting board, but it just makes it neater. One interesting thing about the CAD program, I draw at the full size of the vessel. In other words, here on the screen, this is over 3,000 inches long. Once I have created the drawings that I want, then I can scale them in a PDF and print them out and take them into the shop. I know a lot of modelers who use CAD, they draw at the scale of the vessel. That's fine. But I find that if I draw at full size, I can be accurate to within 3 decimal points at full size. Now that's far more accurate than I would be able to cut, using traditional tools in the shop. But the more accurate the drawing you're cut from, the more accurate the model's going to be. So, let's go over a few basics. What you're seeing here, right where the pointer is, this is called the shear profile. That's the side view of the ship. You can see I have frame 16 up here. I can turn all the other frames off and just leave 16 here so we don't have to worry about which frame we're measuring from. Over here, right there, that is the body construction grid. This is where I would draw either body sections or hull frames. In this particular instance, we're drawing a hull frame. This is just a reference grid. It has the center line right there. You can see right there. Then we have the thickness of the keel set out to both sides. These diagonal lines, these are for diagonal measurements. We're not going to use them in the frame. We could, but we're not going to. The horizontal lines are the 7 water lines. The base line is right there at the bottom, then the first water line, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh. These 3 lines out there on either side, these are the buttock lines. These help define the shape of the frame just as the water lines or these diagonals do. We'll be taking measurements for the 7 water lines plus the width of the deck and the shear line, that's right under the rail, as well as the heights from the buttock lines, as well as where the frame meets the keel. Now down here, this is a vertically aligned copy of the half-breadth plan. You can see the frame 16 right there. This gives us the widths at the various levels, waterline 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, as well as the width of the deck and the shear line, whereas the shear profile gives us the height of all of these. Now the only ones that we're going to have to measure from are the buttock lines and the deck and the shear line. The reason for that is we need to create intersections, and that's going to be our first task. We always start at the bottom of the frame. This is where the frame meets the keel. This is going to come right over here. You can see where it is. Click. And there we have just an intersection. That's all we want right now. We're extending over intersections. The first water line, it's the lowest, and it's going to be the closest to the keel. You see here's the keel, first water line out, and there we go. We have another reference line. We're going to keep doing this. The next buttock line, there we go. There are a lot of lines here that you're not going to understand, so it's not really that important right now. But I will show you what we're working on. Let's see here. I want to make sure. Yeah. That's the top of the keel. This is the third buttock line. And we're going to carry it out over here. So long as we've crossed these lines, we've created an intersection point. Now, up here, this line, right here, this line that's going along here, that is the height of the deck at the side at frame 16. For right now, we're just going to send it over there. And we're going to do the same thing with the shear line. You can see the rail right here is built up. This is the underside of the rail, the top of the frame at the shear line. Again, we're just going to send it out over here, and I'll show you why later. This line right here, this, we're also going to extend an intersection point here. It is the bottom edge of the deck beams. And I'll show you why we're going to do that. We're just going to send it over here like that. Now I have all of my heights planted out. All right, now we're going to come down here. I'll tell you what, let's do this because I want to know which one of these lines. They get kind of crowded in there, as you can see. Which one is which? Well, they're all on different layers. So I can come up here. You see the one that's highlighted. That's, let's do that again. Nope, you see I was wrong. All right, there we go. There it is. That's what I want. This is the width of the deck at frame 16. So all I want to do is create that intersection. Now we're gonna break this off. This is the stuff that we don't need. There we go. We're not really concerned about any of these other things, but when I get rid of the rest of these lines, right now I have an intersection point in space. That is the width of the deck at the height at frame 16. So, we're going to come back down here. The only other one that we have to worry about right now is the shear line. And you can see there it's highlighted, so I'm going to bring a straight line up, intersect. This is the width of the shear line right there at frame 16. Now we're going to break this off. Just going to break these lines just like that, just to leave this intersection point. The intersection point is the only thing that we're really concerned about. All right, Now come back down here. For the sake of simplicity, we're going to start at the lowest water line at frame 16. So again, we're going to do several of these. I'm going to do them one after the other. Here we go. You see it's at the lowest water line because that's where that particular water line, the width of it, intersects. Okay. Okay. There's water line 2. That's the next one up. And it's going to intersect water line 2. All right. Now we're going to come back down here. And there's water line 3. Again, I've got these all on different layers so I can highlight them to make sure that I'm measuring from the right water line. All right. Now, let's see here. The next one, nope, that's not it. We're going to use that one later. Nope. Here we go. There's water line 4. There we go. There's a lot of water lines in this thing because it's a very deep vessel. These are just architectural points, not to be confused with the actual water line of the hull. All right, I've got 4 so far. I need 7, so let's see. Which one is next? Could it be... No, not quite. All right, let's try this. There's water line 6. I need 5. Where's 5? Where's 5 hiding? There's 5. 5's right there on the... out there on the edge. Out there on the ragged edge. Okay. So we're going to put it up there. That's 4. This next one, there's 5. Okay. Now, because there's a slight, what they call tumble home, you'll see the lines start to come in. This is 6 coming up here. And you can see, boy, see it's just starting, yeah, just starting to come in there. One more. Let's see where 7 is. Where's 7? All right, there's 7. All right. And we're going to take it up and intersect it with the 7th water line. Okay. So here we are. We have all of the heights brought over from the shear profile, the side view. We have all the widths brought up from the half breadth. Now, this is the exciting part. Instead of drawing straight lines, we're going to draw a spline. We're going to use a spline, I should say, to draw a curved line. That's how we do it. We click at each intersection point in turn. See there? All right, doesn't look like much now, but if you'll hang on, we're going to connect all of these intersections. Basically, we're going to connect the dots. That's how I look at it. We're going to connect the dots. See here? Every dot gets connected. And there you go. Now, at this point, I can get rid of all of these reference lines because we've made the intersections, we've created the points of intersection, and I'm gonna cut them all off. And in fact, I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. We're gonna break off this line right here. That's the underside of that deck beam. We've still got a reference line here. We've still got an intersection. But that is the shape of the midship frame, frame 16. Now, now we've got the outside shape of it. Now we need the inside shape. It's not a big deal. I know it sounds like it might, but no, not really. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to draw some more straight reference lines. At the shear line, at the underside of the rail, I want the width to be 7 inches. So I start the line there, I tell it I want 7 inches, it gives me 7 inches. Down here at the deck line, I want 8 inches. It's kind of a tapered part here. This area above the deck, this is our the bulwark stanchion. Because this is a merchant ship, it's going to have open bulwarks on the inside. On the outside, it's going to be planked. On the inside, you're going to see these stanchions, so they need to have a scale look to them. Don't want them too fat. For the rest of the frame below, we're not going to see it, but for ease of handling in the construction process, I'm going to make the rest of the frame below there 24 inches. So what I'm doing, I'm offsetting this line 24 inches. Alright. Now, one thing that I can do, I'm going to extend the underside of the deck beam right there. We're just going to leave that there. I'm going to park it there, as they say. Just going to park it right there. I'm going to get the rest of this line out of here because we don't need it. Alright. Now, yep, we're looking good. So all of this is 24 inches wide. And now we're going to create the inside of those the bulwark stanchions. Okay, so for that, I'm going to create this. All we need this to do is to be able to, I'm going to start down here for no other reason than, whoop, nope, I don't want to do that. See, if I'm not watching what I'm doing, I'll screw something up. Actually, the good thing about this is that you really can't screw it up that badly. Now, what I want, see where this is? Right there. I'm clicking at that intersection point. We're going to click at this intersection point there. Alright, now we can get rid of that little line that we did. And I'm going to trim right at the bottom end of that deck beam. Going to get rid of that. And there we go. Okay, so now we've created that bulwark stanchion. We're going to cut this whole thing out eventually when I make the frame, and then all that's going to be left after I cut the rest of this is this bulwark stanchion. Alright, now we need to mirror all of this over to the other side of the drawing. See, we're right there, and just like that. I know you're wondering, why are we doing this? Well, here we go. This line right here, I didn't talk about this one before. This, you see, this was the height of the deck at the side. This is the height of the deck at the middle, at frame 16. So what I'm going to do, I want to bring this over just right there on the center line to create that, and we're going to draw an arc. We're going to start at the outside of the frame and then come back over. Right there. Now let's get that. This is the curve, the side-to-side curve, the camber or the roundup, if you prefer, of the deck at frame 16. We don't need any of these reference lines anymore because we're going to all we're going to do here, I just want to have this on the drawing so that when I cut it, I'll see it. Now, what I did, I got rid of everything in the middle, and all that's left is this little angle line. This will print out when I print the drawing. This will print out, and I'll know where that is. We're going to do the same thing for this line, which is where the bottom end of the deck beam would touch the frame. All right. You know what I just did? I did something really stupid. But don't worry, this is an example of how when you do something really stupid, you can fix it. You see, I just backed up to a point where that line is still there. Don't know why I did that. All right, we're going to offset that line. That's what I want to do. We're going to offset it by 12 inches. That's the depth of the deck beam. Just bear with me. We'll get there. I want to make sure that I've got the ends of this arc right over there. Let's go ahead and save all that. There we go. Now I can get rid of everything that I don't want. Thought I could do it before, but I can't. Not yet. Now I can. Okay, there we go. Now we're back where I was. Just got the height of that little curved line. Now, here we go. We're going to do the same thing with this inside line. Okay, we're going to get rid of that and that. And now I can get rid of that because I don't need that either. All right, we're just going to do a little cleanup here. This is all. Now I've got the upper edge of the deck beam, the lower edge of the deck beam, all set up. And here's why. When I put deck beams in, some of them are going to fall on the frames and some of them won't. Some of them will fall in between frames. That's fine. There will be an extra thick timber on either side, right out here, that will run the length of the hull on the inside of the frame. It'll be right here. It'll be probably about 9 scale inches thick on each side. That'll be there, but on the off chance that the deck beam does fall on the frame, I have now created this little ledge on either side. And that will be a nice fit when we get the deck beams in. Okay, you might think, well, okay, he's finished. Not quite. Not quite. Now we need to figure out the notch for the where the frame's going to fit over the keel. Not a big deal. Right here, this is the top of the keel. I'm bringing it over here. And we're doing this all on the same layer, all on frame 16, because I want this to be there even when the body line grid is not. Now we're going to bring this up the sides of the notch. See, I've made an intersection there right where the frame meets the keel. Going to do that. And then we're going to do the same thing on this side. Right there. Right like that. Okay, now the reference line, because I've already drawn the other, see, right there. Look at that. Doing good. Doing good. All right. Now, tell you what, for this part of it, I think we can, let's see if we can do this. See, without the grid. Got a lot of lines there that don't really need them. All right, now one thing I do need the lower Kelson. Not a problem. I'm going to turn it back on, right like that. There it is. Okay, here we go. Not a whole lot there. Yeah, I see. That's okay. That is okay. Now we're going to have to turn the body line grid back on. No biggie. No biggie. Yeah, okay. We're going to break this off. Yeah, let's do that. And we're going to trim this end. All right. Now that's the height. That's where the lower kelson is going to sit on the floor. Now the problem here is that the lower kelson is 24 inches wide. Well, this is only 18 inches. I need 3 more inches on either side for a total of 6 more inches. Oh my God, how's it going to do that? Here we go. I'm going to offset the center line. I'm going to offset it by 12 inches on each side. Here and there. Boy, what we go through. There we go. All right, so now we can extend the top of the frame over here. And we're going to extend it over here. So we've got to highlight the line that you're extending and where it's going. It has to have its own destination. It has to know where it's going. Remember, it's not the computer's fault if the operator doesn't know what he's doing. There we go. We're just going to move this line back over here. Like that. Okay. Now, I can get rid of these lines now. Like that. Let's see. I'm going to save it. And let's get back to just the frame. There we go. Tell you one thing more I need. Didn't see it, but now I do. We need to draw the center line. There we go. Now watch what's going to happen. I just drew the line over the grid. Once I get rid of the grid, again, turn it off, there's my center line. Now, this is the notch for the keel. Up here is where the kelson's going to sit. But what I want to make sure, as I'm drawing the frame and as I'm cutting it out, I want to make sure that I got this center line so that we're centered on the keel. That's very important. Now later on, we're going to have to do some other stuff. I can get rid of all these reference marks now because I don't need them. But we're going to have to do some other stuff before we can actually cut out the various pieces of the frame. This thing's going to have 11 pieces to it, and we're not going to do that right now. We'll come back and talk about that another time, but for right now, I appreciate your attention. I hope that this was in some way gives you a basic idea of what it takes to draw a hull frame for a model. So until next time, take it easy. Bye.